Let's go to the video replay.
Driving through the country demands special driving skills along with good old American common sense.
That's right, Martin. You know, you go along for miles, there's no traffic, and then suddenly a tractor appears.
Mark, this John Deere 4250 tractor can reach 15 miles an hour in 10 seconds.
That pickup was doing 55 coming over the hill.
It's these types of situations all drivers will encounter.
Because almost everybody's going to drive in the country.
And a normal strip of blacktop could change in the blink of an eye.
What you'll see in this video are potential hazards of driving in the country.
And we'll offer advice on how to react in situations.
Our purpose is to introduce you to SMVs, slow-moving vehicles,
Talk about closure time,
and describe evasive maneuvers that could be taken.
Both city streets and rural roads have vehicles that move slowly. In the city, you'll find street sweepers, utility trucks, or experienced drivers behind the wheel. These vehicles move slowly, but they're not SMVs.
A slow-moving vehicle travels between 10 and 20 miles per hour on roads designated for 55 or faster.
You'll recognize slow-moving vehicles by their emblem on back. Even though expressways are built for fast speeds,
Trucks within construction zones don't need SMV emblems.
speeds are reduced because a truck may pull out at any time.
Even after you pass the main part under construction, the work zone continues because more vehicles and workers may be in the area.
A truck in the city doesn't need an emblem on back because the posted speed limit is not fast enough to cause a hazard.
On the other hand, a horse and buggy move so slowly that they're required to display an emblem. Our intent is to concentrate on SMVs that are very likely to injure you in a collision.
Look at the size of these vehicles. They're compared to a 6-foot man, a car, and a semi-truck.
Most farm equipment is attached to a tractor. Combines are larger and on the roads in the summer and fall.
In a collision with these vehicles, it's likely you'll lose.
Of all collisions with farm equipment, statistics show a majority of cars ram into the rear of slow-moving vehicles. Those drivers report not being able to stop in time.
Even though fatal collisions can happen anytime, most fatalities occur at dusk and night. For this reason, you must slow down the very instant you see an SMV emblem.
In all our examples, we've picked safe areas to videotape with minimal risk to drivers and crew. That's why this cultivator, being towed by a tractor, is traveling on a smaller, out-of-the-way road.
We want you to see the difference between day and nighttime driving.
At night, flashing lights don't reveal the immense size of this cultivator.
Notice how much detail is lost. Those protruding edges stick out farther than you think and could sideswipe you, whether you're traveling from either direction.
Keep in mind, it's legal for these vehicles to be on the highway. It's up to all of us to share the roads safely and drive defensively.
Farmers like me, we're extremely busy in the spring and the fall.
And that's the planting season and the harvest season.
We constantly move from field to field up to 15 hours a day.
7 days a week, just to get the crop in or to harvest the crop.
You also find farmers on the roads the rest of the year doing odd jobs.
Roads are getting busy, roads are getting crowded.
It is harder and harder to use these roads due to increased traffic, due to new subdivisions, urban sprawl, and people detouring construction.
The fact of the matter is we have to share these roads.
And together we must use them safely.
Let's discuss our second point of interest, closure time. Remember the pickup having to brake after going over the hill? The little time it took to close the gap between those two vehicles is called closure time.
We can best describe our closure time with this graphic. If a car going 55 miles per hour came upon another doing 45, there's more time to react before reaching the rear of the vehicle.
When our pickup was going 55 with an SMV doing 15, there's less time to react. Hence our pickup braking hard to slow down.
Easy enough. Time to look at a new scenario. What would you do in this situation?
And now, the instant replay.
In general, slow-moving vehicles may make wide turns and may turn right or left at any time into unmarked entrances, like we've just seen.
When you're approaching from the rear, you've got to stay a safe distance behind the vehicle until it's safe to pass.
Then be certain the driver has seen you and is aware you'll be passing.
You know, the reason that the farm equipment travels 15 to 20 miles an hour is because it's not safe to go any faster. They're built to work in the field. So you've got to slow down, check your mirrors, and check for oncoming traffic.
Become familiar with blinking lights on farm machinery. Hitting a tractor turning left is like hitting an immovable object. Booyah!
And please be patient when you're driving around farm equipment.
Become familiar with turn signals on farm machinery. The differences are subtle.
When both amber lights are blinking, it's going straight.
If the right side becomes a steady light while the left continues to blink, it's turning left. Not knowing the difference could be costly.
On right-hand turns, larger equipment may make a wide turn just like a semi-truck. Closure time with farm equipment turning left is drastically shortened because it's almost standing still.
As an accident reconstructionist with the Illinois State Police, I've seen the results of fast-moving cars with slow-moving vehicles. We're coming up to an area where there was a serious accident. A gentleman driving a minivan approached a slow-moving vehicle from the rear that was preparing to make a left turn into an elevator drive. It was right at dusk, and he was unable to see it in time. He made an evasive move into the left lane and struck a small station wagon head-on. Drivers should be aware that when they do approach a slow-moving vehicle to slow down and use extra caution.
At a recent skid demonstration, drivers slammed on the brakes at speeds of 25, 30, and 35 miles per hour.
3 orange paint pellets mark the pavement to measure reaction distance and braking distance.
The first pellet is triggered at the point a driver sees a hazard. And the second pellet marks the point where the brake is first applied. This gives us reaction distance.
The last pellet marks the spot where the van came to a complete stop, giving us braking distance.
Here in the state of Illinois, everybody, 1 out of every 4 high schools will lose a student in a car crash this year. 1 out of every 4. And when I do this program, I tell every audience is that driving seems so simple and so routine, but it's one of the most dangerous things we as people do. Now, I want to make a point with you, and I'm going to move away from the microphone a little bit. If I was traveling 30 miles an hour down a street and suddenly I had to slam on the brakes, if I reacted in 3/4 of a second, which is the average, my reaction distance would be about 33 feet. From the end line to where I'm standing, that's about 33 feet. But here's the problem. Let's say suddenly I'm distracted. All of a sudden I'm talking on a cell phone, I'm in a conversation. I'm fiddling with the radio, I'm putting in a CD disc, I'm talking to the person next to me. And let's say my reaction time is a full second. At 30 miles an hour, my reaction distance now will be 44 feet. And in 1 second, at a mere 30 miles an hour, that's how far my car would travel while all I'm doing is reacting.
This brings us to our final point, the importance of evasive maneuvers. Let's imagine our pickup couldn't slow down enough before rear-ending the tractor. What could you do?
First, steer to the right to straddle the edge of the road while applying the brake. Check your mirrors before you gradually get back on the highway. Don't get back on the road too quickly for fear of overcompensating left into oncoming traffic. It's your decision as to how much steering or braking is needed.
In this demonstration, we'll show you that your hands are quicker than your feet. Since your hands are already on the wheel, a quick turn to the right means you'll avoid a collision using minimal time and space. If your option is to just brake, moving your foot takes up closure time, leaving less room for braking.
With ABS brakes, you can steer and brake. You need to evaluate situations differently for the best combination. Ultimately, a good evasive maneuver is a safe one.
You may only have a split second to make a decision, and it's something you can't practice in traffic. What you can do when behind the wheel is rehearse situations in your mind.
Just how a football player visualizes catching a pass before running a route, you should visualize the road ahead before you actually drive through it.
Here's another scenario. Visualize what needs to be done before it happens.
Gee, I should call Tracy to see if she needs anything for the party. Maybe I should bring something. I'll bring chips. No, I'll bring pretzels. Pretzels taste good with... Here's the instant replay.
It's obvious we put something scary behind the curve. But notice the decisions our driver made.
That's right, Martin. You can see here that she recognized that the road curved to the left, and she started to slow down because you just never know what's behind tall corn during harvest season.
Hey, Mark, from the farmer's perspective, he can't see what's behind corn either.
And right here, her evasive maneuver was to slow down and to straddle the edge of the road.
That's the safest move unless you want this combine to take your head off.
You've always got to play the what-if game, and you've got to leave yourself an out.
One last example. Let's compare city driving with driving in the country. A driver wants to turn right but can't see because of a truck parked on the corner. He inches forward to get a better view, then makes his turn.
If you inch forward in the country, you could have a different result. Let's see what happens.
Here's the replay.
The game of driving is a matter of inches.
Please allow more room at rural intersections than you do in the city.
Tall brown corn means it's harvest time, and harvest season brings out the big rigs.
You know, small cars can't always be seen at intersections.
And this car's lucky there's room to the left for the combine to swerve.
Otherwise, the front could have been clipped.
At this point, we'd be remiss if we didn't say this before the video ends.
Please always wear your seatbelt and drive defensively.
We leave you now with our 3 main points to remember. First, slow-moving vehicles travel between 10 and 20 miles per hour on roads built for highway speeds.
Second, closure time is decreased with SMVs because they move much slower than normal traffic, thus leaving less time to react.
And third, use proper evasive maneuvers to increase your chances of avoiding a collision. Rehearse decisions in your mind to be ready for situations that could change in the blink of an eye.